Let's get right into it. Number 5, the Oracle of Delphi's terrifying accuracy. Picture this. You're a powerful king in ancient Greece, and you're about to make the biggest military decision of your life. Where do you go for advice? Not to your generals or advisors, but to a woman sitting on a three-legged stool in a cave, breathing in mysterious vapors and speaking in riddles. This was the Oracle of Delphi, and for nearly 2,000 years, she was the most influential voice in the ancient world. Kings, emperors, and ordinary people traveled hundreds of miles just to hear what she had to say about their future. The oracle didn't just make lucky guesses. She delivered predictions so accurate they shaped the course of entire civilizations. Take King Croesus of Lydia, one of the wealthiest men who ever lived. He wanted to wage war against the Persian Empire, so he consulted the oracle first. She told him that if he crossed the river Halys, he would destroy a great empire. Croesus was thrilled. He gathered his armies, crossed the river, and marched confidently into battle. The oracle was absolutely right. A great empire was destroyed that day. The problem was, it was his own. Croesus lost everything and spent the rest of his life as a prisoner. The oracle had spoken the truth, but like most ancient prophecies, it required careful interpretation. What made the oracle so eerily accurate wasn't magic or divine intervention. The priestess, known as the Pythia, had access to information networks that spanned the Mediterranean. Travelers, merchants, and diplomats all passed through Delphi, bringing news and gossip from across the known world. The oracle's predictions weren't just mystical visions, they were informed analyses based on political intelligence and pattern recognition that would make modern analysts jealous. If you're fascinated by these ancient mysteries and want to see more incredible stories from history, hit that subscribe button and join thousands of others who love exploring the past. Number 4, the Mayan calendar countdown that never happened. Everyone remembers December 21st, 2012, the day the world was supposed to end according to ancient Mayan prophecy. People built bunkers, quit their jobs, and some even said goodbye to their families. News channels ran countdown clocks, and Hollywood made blockbuster movies about the apocalypse. But here's what nobody tells you. The Maya never predicted the world would end in 2012. Ever. The Maya were incredible astronomers and mathematicians. They created one of the most sophisticated calendar systems in human history, tracking celestial movements with precision that rivals modern technology. Their long count calendar measured time in massive cycles called Baktuns, each lasting about 394 years. The 13th Baktun was ending on December 21st, 2012, which marked the completion of a 5,126-year cycle. But to the Maya, this wasn't an ending. It was like watching your car's odometer roll over from 99,999 to 100,000 miles. The car doesn't explode, the numbers just reset and keep counting. The Maya believed in cyclical time, not linear time like we do. When one cycle ended, another began. It was a moment of renewal and rebirth, not destruction. Modern Maya people were actually offended by the doomsday predictions. They celebrated December 21st, 2012 as the beginning of a new era, holding festivals and ceremonies to mark the transition. The apocalypse predictions came from modern misinterpretations, not ancient Maya texts. What's really fascinating is what the Maya actually did predict. They accurately calculated solar eclipses, planetary alignments, and the movements of Venus centuries into the future. They predicted the return of celestial events with mathematical precision that wouldn't be matched by European astronomers until the Renaissance. If they had really wanted to predict the end of the world, they probably would have been terrifyingly accurate about it. Comment your location below and let me know if you remember where you were during the supposed 2012 apocalypse. Number 3, Native American prophecies that came true. Long before European ships appeared on the horizon, Native American tribes across North America were already describing their arrival in vivid detail. These weren't vague predictions about change or conflict. They were specific, accurate descriptions of people, animals, and technologies that didn't exist in the Americas. The Hopi tribe preserved prophecies that described white-skinned people arriving from across the water. But it gets more specific. They predicted spinning wheels filled with voices, which perfectly describes covered wagons crossing the plains with families talking inside. They described strange beasts like buffalo, but with great long horns, which matches cattle perfectly. They even predicted snakes of iron crossing the land, a remarkably accurate description of railroad tracks stretching across the continent. These prophecies weren't recorded after the fact, they were passed down through oral traditions for generations, before any European contact occurred. When these predictions started coming true, it must have been both fascinating and terrifying for the people who had heard these stories their entire lives. The accuracy goes beyond just describing new arrivals. Many tribes predicted the environmental changes that would follow colonization. They described the disappearance of buffalo herds, the clearing of forests, and the pollution of rivers. Some prophecies even predicted the specific impacts on their own cultures and ways of life. Before we dive into our next incredible prediction, take a second to share this video with someone who loves history as much as you do. Number 2, the Sibylline books that saved Rome. Hidden in the depths of Roman temples lay a collection of prophetic texts so powerful that consulting them could mean the difference between victory and total destruction. The Sibylline books were Rome's secret weapon against disaster. When plague struck, when enemies threatened, when the gods seemed angry, Roman leaders would unlock these sacred scrolls and search for guidance. And time after time, following their cryptic instructions seemed to avert catastrophe. These weren't just random fortune-telling books, they contained specific instructions for dealing with crises. When a plague devastated Rome in 293 BC, the books recommended importing the Greek god of healing, Asclepius. The Romans followed these instructions exactly, built a temple, and the plague mysteriously ended. When Hannibal was at the gates during the Second Punic War, the book suggested a specific ritual sacrifice. Rome performed it and somehow managed to turn the tide of the war. What made these predictions so accurate was their practical nature. The books didn't just predict disaster, they provided actionable solutions. Modern historians think the books might have contained accumulated wisdom from various cultures, disguised as prophecy. The instructions often involve diplomatic solutions, public health measures, or psychological tactics that actually worked. The Romans treated these books as state secrets. Only specially appointed priests could read them, and unauthorized access was punishable by death. When the original books were destroyed in a fire in 83 BC, the Romans sent agents across the Mediterranean to collect similar prophecies and rebuild their collection. That's how valuable they considered these predictions. The irony is that the books worked best when Rome followed them, and disaster struck when they ignored the warnings. Whether through divine intervention or practical wisdom disguised as prophecy, these ancient texts helped guide one of history's most powerful empires through centuries of crisis. Number 1, Nostradamus and the prophecies that still haunt us. Michel de Nostradame wrote over 900 cryptic 4-line poems in 1555, claiming they predicted future events. Nearly 500 years later, people are still arguing about whether he actually saw the future or just got incredibly lucky with his guesses. Some of his predictions seem impossibly accurate. He wrote about a great fire that would consume London, which happened during the Great Fire of 1666. He described the rise of Napoleon centuries before the French emperor was born. He even seemed to predict the atomic bombs dropped on Japan, writing about fire falling from the sky that would melt metal and stone. But here's where it gets controversial. Nostradamus wrote his predictions in such vague, poetic language that they can be interpreted to match almost any major event. Critics argue that people only notice the hits and ignore the countless misses. It's like shooting arrows at a barn and then painting targets around wherever they land. The real mystery isn't whether Nostradamus could see the future, it's how he managed to create prophecies so flexible that every generation finds their own disasters reflected in his words. During World War II, both the Allies and the Nazis used his prophecies as propaganda, each claiming he predicted their victory. Maybe that was his true genius. Instead of predicting specific events, he tapped into universal patterns of human behavior and historical cycles. Wars, plagues, natural disasters, and the rise and fall of leaders happen in every era. By describing these patterns in symbolic language, he created a mirror that reflects whatever catastrophe people are currently experiencing. The most unsettling part is that some of his unfulfilled prophecies describe events that haven't happened yet. According to his timeline, we're still waiting for the biggest predictions to come true. Whether you believe in his prophetic abilities or not, Nostradamus created a legacy that continues to influence how we think about the future. even today. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.